Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with another 4K review, and this time around we are talking about a movie that just came out this week, and it was its 4K debut. So this is really exciting. I am talking, of course, about 2014's Godzilla, directed by Gareth Edwards. So this is a movie that I saw like the week it came out in theaters, and then I picked it up on this Blu-ray 3D with this incredible lenticular cover here. It is gorgeous. It has depth to it. It's beautiful. I love it. So the real question here is not whether this movie is any good or not, because by this time you probably know if you love this movie or if you dislike it. But I'm one of those that definitely fall on the side that loves it. So I'll talk about my thoughts on the movie itself. Then we're going to talk about this 4K disc in particular. Was it worth the upgrade, or was this 3D Blu-ray sufficient enough? Well, I don't know. Let's figure it out. So let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right in to my review of Godzilla from 2014 on 4K. So like I usually do with these 4K reviews, let's start off by talking about the packaging here. So this is an interesting one because there's actually a Best Buy exclusive steelbook for this. And for my money, this is the better version. This is the nicer looking edition. I much prefer the slipcover here than the steelbook. So I decided to go that route. Now, I will mention, I was actually trying to talk myself into the steelbook because I thought I was going to have to pay $30 for this disc. And at one point, frankly, I wasn't going to do it because I didn't think that I wanted to pay $30 for this, but then I started watching some reviews and reading some things about it, and I decided I needed it. So I was trying to talk myself to spend the extra $5 so that paying $35 for the steelbook might have been worth it because it might be something that's harder to find down the line or whatever the case is, but I couldn't talk myself into it. I love this steelbook with this Japanese writing on, like, it's just a beautiful, this steelbook, this slipcover rather. I think it's just gorgeous. So I decided I wanted to go that route. Now, if you are watching this the week this movie or this video releases, then do know that you can get this for $30 at Best Buy and Amazon, but it is $25 right now at Target, and that's where I ended up picking this up, saving the $5. Why not? So, I will also mention there's a buy two get one going on right now at Target. Unfortunately, this on 4K is not a part of that sale, but you're getting it for $5 cheaper than you are at Best Buy or Amazon. So definitely go that route if you're interested. But yeah, so this is the slip cover. It looks beautiful. It's one of my favorite slips of the year, I'd have to say, at least so far. Obviously, we're early on. And then if you open it up, we got the same cover here, which honestly is a little bit disappointing. I would have liked to see something different. I think with the old one, so this is that lenticular I was showing. It's the same too. It's just not lenticular, so that's all right. It'd been cool if they had a different alternative cover here, I guess, but that's okay. And then we open it up, and there is just nothing going on here. So you can see if I can turn this right. We have the 4K disc right here, and then, which you actually see, it does have a little like etching in there, I guess. It's all black on black. But this is like the exact same disc. At least it looks like the exact same disc, and all of the special features, all of the audio, everything like that is the same as the old one, the old Blu-ray, this old standard Blu-ray. So they basically just repackaged that, included it with the 4K disc, so that you have the Blu-ray and the 4K if you're looking for that. And I will also mention that there was a digital code in here that I did take out. So yeah, you can also get the digital code with it, which is always pretty cool. So yeah, not spectacular on the inside. Really, the charm for this, or like why I like this so much, really comes from the slipcover itself. So I really enjoy this. But now let's talk about the movie itself. So Godzilla is a film, like I mentioned, I saw it in theaters when it came out, and then I purchased the Blu-ray 3D of it. I've seen this movie multiple times. I've seen it in theaters, I've seen it in 3D, I've seen it in standard Blu-ray in 2D, and now I've seen it in 4K. And frankly, I will never stop being blown away by this film. I have so much fun with it. I love it. Gareth Edwards does such a great job of taking these giant monsters, mixing in the human element, which I know there's going to be some comments, I'm sure, because a lot of the negative criticism here is that there's just not enough Godzilla. And while there is not like the most Godzilla ever, there is that human story here, which I think is done really well. The main character and his father, that story is done really well. It's quick based on what happens, but then him trying to basically be reunited with his wife and his son, I think that's done well, and it does enough to drive the story forward. That's not why I'm here, though. I'm not watching for that. Why why I'm here is for this giant kaiju action. And though you might not get a ton of Godzilla, which I would argue that you do get quite a bit, though you might not get as much as you're hoping for, you do get a ton of the Muto action as well. And there's two of them. And frankly, like every other scene or so, it felt to me, is these giant monsters are on your screen. Now, they're not always fighting. They might just be walking from one spot to another, but there's usually going to be some debris, some destruction that is left in their path. And so I think there is a very appropriate amount of kaiju action in this. And then when you get to that climax of these beasts fighting, it is incredible. So watching this time, I was really taken by the way that Gareth uses color in this. So one of the big reasons I decided to upgrade to the 4K was because I remember watching something talking about, or maybe I saw like a picture on their Twitter feed talking about how they've improved the color grading on this a little bit, and it is, I think, pretty noticeable here in the 4K. And I'm only talking about that now during the movie because I think it plays a part in the film itself. You see more, and so you are able to appreciate more of kind of the little things that these giant monsters are doing, and they seem so realistic. Like the motions that they make, the actions that they're doing seem like actions that these creatures would probably take. So that sucked me into the film. It sucks me into the film every single time I watch it, but this time probably even more so. It's no surprise to anyone that Bryan Cranston is an incredible actor, and he does such a phenomenal job with this. Right from the beginning, where there is like the natural disaster, or so they believe, at the reactor plant, and him having to hit the button, I'll say, because I don't want to give any spoilers. It is just so powerful and emotional right from the start, and then his story is packed in such a small amount of time, but they do such a good job with it. I am totally invested in his story, and then alongside Cranston, you have his son, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and I think he does a pretty good job as well. His character is definitely more one note than Cranston's character, but given who he is, he's a Navy, he's in the Navy, I don't know what his title is, I guess, lieutenant, I know that, but so given who he is, I think it kind of makes sense that he is more even keel throughout this, and then just his trek to try to get back to his wife, who's played by Elizabeth Olsen, and I think she does a really great job here, and then his young boy, who doesn't really have too much to do. I didn't have any problems with him at all. And those are our main players here. And then on top of that, you also have the main doctor here, I guess, who's played by Ken Watanabe. I might be butchering that, but obviously that is a very well-known name. He's in Inception. He's in these other Godzilla films. Very well-known actor, and he does a great job here as well. I love the way this movie kind of ties into the original Godzilla. It's kind of loose, and that's fine. It's not a complete remake of that. I guess it would be a reboot of it, but it still plays in with it. So I don't know if you want to call it a sequel or what it's officially titled as, a remake, a reboot, or a sequel. But I think the way it links the original to this, I think, is done really well. It's funny because this is actually the second Gareth Edwards movie I've watched over the past month or so here. I rewatched Rogue One again for the second time, and that one just blew me away even more than the first time. But watching this film, this has to be the fourth or fifth time I've seen it now. And I think I just enjoy it, if not more, at least as much every time I watch it. This is just a big action movie. It is a big giant monster film, and it's done so well. Like I said, I know that the main criticism against this film is simply the fact that there's not enough Godzilla, but for my money, there is plenty of giant monster action in this. Whether it's Godzilla or one of the two Mutos that are in here, I think it is just a non-stop action ride, and I have so much fun with it every single time from start to finish. I think it's great. Now, I will say, there are some moments in here that aren't perfect. Some of the character motivations are a little iffy. The fact that the monsters just happen to be following our main character Ford from where does he start? From Japan to Hawaii to San Francisco, where he lives. That's a little, you just have to buy into it, which I don't have any problem suspending my disbelief because I was enjoying the film so much, so I didn't mind that. But there are some weird moments in here. There's not a ton of character depth either with our three main characters. I think probably Cranston gets the most depth, and I think what he has is awesome. I think it's done so well. But with Ford and then his wife and son, I think it's just kind of it's his wife and kid. Obviously he wants to get back home to them, and that's kind of it. It's just a surface level thing that frankly is probably, it's enough for me, and it'll probably be enough for most, because really why I'm here, why I'm watching this film is to watch Godzilla and these Mutos just go crazy on each other, and they do in a big way, and it is so much fun to watch. So I always love this movie, and I'm still giving it Godzilla from 2014, 4.5 out of 5 stars. So now let's talk about some of the audio and the visual aspects of this 4K disc to see if it's worth an upgrade or not. So I will reiterate what I said earlier, that the Blu-ray disc in this 4K release is the exact same Blu-ray disc from the older sets, whatever. If you had the standard 2D Blu-ray or the 3D Blu-ray, it's the same disc. And you can actually see on the back here, they use the exact same graphic. The special features, as far as I can tell, are exactly the same as well. So, if you're one that's just looking to future-proof your collection, this is probably one you can wait on down the line, because if you already have it on Blu-ray, you already have the disc that you would use currently. But the reason we're here, though, is to talk about this 4K disc. So let's start with the audio on this. I'm not going to bury the lead here. This is probably the best Dolby Atmos track I have heard to date, at least on my system, from everything that I've watched. This thing blew me away. It was rumbling my house. I got the text from my wife, hey, can you turn that down? Because she was trying to put my daughter to sleep at the time. So the bass is just incredible in this. They do such a good job mixing that. And the dialogue is perfect. I didn't lose any of that at all. But really, like, the fight scenes are where this comes the most. And more than just that, though, it's like whenever these giant monsters are moving, it felt like my house was moving with it. And that is awesome, because obviously if this was real, the ground would be rumbling. You would feel these monsters coming. And that's kind of how it felt with my sound system. So I was so impressed with this, literally from the beginning to the end. And I think it gets even better the further into the movie you get, because you're getting even more action sequences. But the Dolby Atmos track, so the heights on this were very noticeable as well, even on my system. Like the helicopters flying overhead, you could hear those clearly. The monsters like stepping down, you could hear that coming. It felt like it was coming from above. It's just one of the most immersive soundtracks, or tracks, I guess, that I have heard to date. So I cannot recommend the visual, or the the audio on this one enough. This is an upgrade. This is a Dolby Atmos track. If you watch the Blu-ray, it does have the DTS HD 7.1 track, which is also an option on the 4K if you do not have Atmos. But really, one of the main reasons for the upgrade is because of that Atmos track. So it delivers just tenfold. It was excellent. So I am giving the audio quality on this 5 out of 5 stars. So let's talk about the visuals on this 4K disc, and I'll start off by saying right at the front, this is technically a 2K upscale to 4K, but frankly, that means so little to me, because I've seen some incredible looking discs that are just beautiful upscales, and frankly, this is one of them. This looks amazing in 4K. So not only are you going to get that resolution jump from 1080p to 4K, you're also getting the addition of HDR. So this one, unfortunately, does not have Dolby Vision, but it does have HDR, and I think that alone is enough to suggest upgrading this. I watched the 4K disc last night, and then I went in and watched some scenes on the Blu-ray as well, using the exact same atmosphere. So it was nighttime, all the lights were out, and I was watching it in the same setting, so on the same TV, same player and everything. And the only word that I can use to describe it, and it's kind of cliche, but given what it is, but it's just, the 4K is just so much more dynamic than the Blu-ray disc is. There are some scenes in here, like for example, when they go to jump out of the helicopter, it's kind of one of those famous scenes from the trailer where you get like the red smoke coming down with them. It is just visually stunning on 4K with that HDR. The dynamic elements you get with like the sun first shooting into the plane, just how that looks is amazing. And then them jumping out, that red, how it contrasts against the dark smoke in that scene. Oh my gosh, like it looks just incredible. So that's one example. Just the example, other examples would be like when it does shots over the ocean or over the cities. They look amazing. There's just so much here that you can tell a noticeable difference between the Blu-ray and the 4K. At least I was able to when I watched them, back to back or day after day. So I think that the HDR on this is good enough that it's worth the upgrade alone. Those reds in those scenes just pop so much better than they do on the Blu-ray disc. It's amazing. So for me, just looking at it on a visual standpoint, this was absolutely worth the upgrade from Blu-ray. I noticed the difference. I will say that I don't recall ever having a difficult time seeing some of the night scenes on the old discs. And when I was watching the Blu-ray of this, I could still make things out. But with that HDR, with this upgrade to 4K, it is clear for sure. So though I didn't really have an issue before, I now am able to see even more. And I think those night scenes where these fights are going on, where these monsters show up, they work even better on 4K than they did in Blu-ray, because you get more information, you see more. So I think this disc looks fantastic. So is this the best 4K disc in my collection now? I don't think so, but it's definitely a top-of-the-line disc. Even though it's a 2K upscale, I still think this is just an excellent 4K disc. So I'm going to go ahead and give the audio quality on Godzilla 4K 4.5 out of 5 stars. It always boils down to that one big question. Was this worth the 4K upgrade? And for me, it absolutely was. This is just a perfect example of, one, how you do a 2K upscale right, and two, why HDR is so important, why it just adds so much to that viewing experience, and why, people who champion 4K will continue to do so when you get discs like this, because this looks amazing. So if you have the ability to play this in 4K, you should absolutely pick it up. If you're just looking to future-proof, then you can wait on it and wait for a sale down the line. But for my money, I am very happy that I spent the $25 that I did. Even if I paid $30, I would have been just as happy with it. So I'm going to give the Godzilla 4K release 4.5 out of 5 stars, and definitely recommend that you make the upgrade as soon as you can. Alright guys, so those are my thoughts on the 4K release of Godzilla, making its debut on 4K, and I think it did a wonderful job, but those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Is this something that you guys plan to upgrade, or is it one that you're skipping out on because you just don't like the movie that much? Let me know down in the comments below, and hey, if I convinced you to pick it up, please let me know that down there as well. I would love to hear that. As always, if you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a like down below, and consider subscribing to Cinefessions here on YouTube. And if not, well, thanks for watching this one. I really do appreciate that. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies, I talk all things media, be it books, movies, video games, graphic novels. If it's media related, I'm interested in it, and if you are too, you might consider subscribing. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.